Hello, everybody. Welcome. Great to have you here in this session. I am Antonia, and I'm working at Tech Academy as part of the People and Organization team. I am hosting this Impulse session, and I'm very happy to introduce you to Jörg Hellwig. Jörg is the Chief Digital Officer at Lanxess, where he is responsible for the digital transformation of the company. Jörg, you promote new modern work methodologies, use artificial intelligence to increase development speed and sustainability, and you also founded the startup Chemondis. You will talk about this dual experience as the Chief Digital Officer of a large corporation and as a successful startup founder at the same time. You will also explain how digitalization at Lanxess and Chemondis have started to transform the chemical industry and why the combination of data and specific knowledge is key for success. Maybe one hint before we start, feel free to post your questions in the chat during the presentation, and I will address them to Jörg in the Q&A session afterwards. Now, I'm curious and give the word to you, Jörg.
Antonia, thank you very much. Let me share my slides. One second. Okay, as Antonia already iterated, I will talk about the transformation of the chemical industry as we have been doing this at Lanxess. Lanxess is a specialty chemicals company headquartered in Cologne. We have sales of about $8 billion, 15,000 people, truly global company. And when I started my job as a Chief Digital Officer, I'm not a techie, I'm not a IT person. I ran businesses for Lanxess, for Bayer, and for Reliance, companies I worked before. I spent a couple of years in the US, I spent a couple of years in India. I looked at this Chief Digital Officer role, and for me, it was about technology, combining this new technology with the domain knowledge we have. Lanxess is one of the companies inventing chemistry about 150 years ago. And I talked to my boss, CEO of the company, at the very early beginning of my role. And I said, okay, what we need to do is we need to look at data differently, but we also must make sure that our people follow this new direction. And this is what you will hear over the next 15, 20 minutes from me a lot, data and people. This is the guiding principle we have. What our goal is we would like to turn our company into a data-enabled and data-inspired company. People need to be fascinated by technology, but they need to accept also the technology. And I will later talk about the people aspect a little bit more. In this chart, you see on the left-hand side the normal functions of a chemical company, a process industry company. You start with some kind of R&D, research and development. You go into production. You have all the supply chain aspects of the business. Then you talk about the customers in marketing and sales, and then you have general administration like HR or IT supporting it. We started to partner up with people, companies in the digital ecosystem, because that was the first need to learn what is this digital industry all about, who can help us, what kind of technology is out there. So it was a huge learning journey for us at the very early beginning. We ran around, we scanned the world, and we found partners working for us. Some not so surprising partners like SAP or Microsoft, but also smaller companies like Mobilab Solutions, also based in Cologne, but then also Silicon Valley-based companies like Citrine and Palantir. So we started to dive deep into this ecosystem and learn, and then we started to use the technology with use cases. If it worked, then we scaled it up. If it didn't work, we just let it go, because this is this fail fast idea that you have to make sure that you do not run projects. I call these projects junk research. You run projects for a long time. You understand it's really not working, but then for another period, you keep on doing it just to find out whether it's really not working. So there's not enough time for these things. There's so much technology out there that we must also speed up and then try something else. We went deep into our businesses and started to use the technology almost everywhere. That was also one of the decisions to start everywhere at the same time. You cannot do a digital transformation journey in a chronological order, that you start 1 year, like here with R&D, and next year you go into production, and then you go into supply chain. This is not possible. So,
Jörg, sorry for interrupting you. Could you maybe show the slides in full screen? Because I think they are not updating.
okay, I have it on full screen right now.
Ah, great, thank you.
It's not full screen, but okay. You couldn't see the slide here?
Yeah, now we see the current slide. Perfect.
That's what I was talking about. But let me jump to this one here. This is what our goal is, to not only have use cases in separate functions, but iterate the entire value chain and make sure that you keep on using technology, you keep on using digitalization aspects to the business and combine it all the time with the knowledge you have had in a company. For us, this is most of the time, this is chemistry, this is engineering skills, and so on. And then on the right-hand side, you see marketing and sales. And we now jump on what Antonia already introduced. At about the same time when I started my job, I needed to look at marketing and sales activities. And we were looking at certain aspects. The first idea was to bring our products to our webpage and create a web shop. I killed this idea actually after 3 weeks, because it would have been very old-fashioned, and you don't create value to a market if you just offer your products on your own web shop. Because in our industry, somebody who's perhaps producing paints or coatings buys 2 products from us, and the same company buys another 10 products from 5 other suppliers. If that customer has to log in to 5 supplier sites, 5 web shops, it's not working, it will not create value, so the customer will not do it. So then I came up with the idea to go on a B2B marketplace. And at the end of this process, this idea, I founded CheMondis. CheMondis is a B2B platform. We looked at what is creating value for the market, and we wanted to use a platform, but there was nothing out there. There were a couple of so-called B2B platforms for the chemical industry, about 3 years there, but it just didn't please us. It was either our competitors, which had extended web shops, so they had put their products on their web shop and allowed others to join, or it were tech companies, but they could not realize the complexity of our industry. So we went out with a lot of courage. We created something in a very speedy process, and we used the values we have in our 150-year-old business in the digital world. And what we created is now, 3 years after founding it, Europe's leading digital marketplace. This marketplace brings value to the market because it is the API, the midpoint between a supplier and a customer. You can trade your products there, you can share information, you just digitize your business. Over a longer period of time, when I founded CheMondis, and I first signed up a tech company writing the first codes for us, I had interviews with these techies, and I found it pretty strange what kind of questions they were asking. They kept on asking many questions. I wanted to explain to them how we do our business, but they asked other questions. And later on, I realized this was very important, because we did not digitize our analog business. We created a digital product, CheMondis, and put all the knowledge from our analog business into this. And this is a major difference, because usually when you just digitize what you do in an analog world, then you also make all the mistakes. You see here the little timeline. 2018, I founded CheMondis. I started with this external company. Then I started to hire the first people. We went live 2019 with an MVP, and then later on we opened it to the market. Last year we had already 2,500 companies active trading products on the webpage, more than 50,000 products last year, and about €1 billion quote value on the platform. Now, a year later, we are with more than 7,000 companies listed there. In Europe, you have about 22,000 chemical companies doing business. So here we cover already a very large portion of the chemical industry. And we accelerate the growth. It's a very speedy process. In between, I also stepped down as managing director because we started it out of the corporate Lanxess, corporate company Lanxess, but we keep it completely separate. So CheMondis is a completely separated company. They're independent from us. Only thing, we own 100% of the shares still. We might even sell shares, or we might go IPO with CheMondis sometime. We have 50 employees at CheMondis, but none of these people working for CheMondis, and they come out of 20 different nationalities, so a very diverse team. None of them got any lifeline to Lanxess. So they are CheMondis employees. They are working in a startup company, and that's the entrepreneurial spirit we needed to have such a success as it is shown here. Plus, also make sure that the market is recognizing CheMondis as the marketplace, because here my belief is the winner takes it all, and we keep on. And the team of CheMondis keeps on adding features to the platform, and it's working very, very well. So that was the CheMondis part. Now I have to come back to the Lanxess part because it's kind of my hybrid role. When we look at our company, Lanxess, 2/3 of our people work in production or in production-related functions. So here it was the main target to bring technology into very large assets. Lanxess runs assets with a replacement value of about $25 billion all over the world. So we must make sure that we produce our chemical products in the most safe way, but at the same time, we add technology which is out there. And here, what you see on this slide is that we always put the people into the midpoint of what we do. So we look at asset lifecycle management. Homos is a system where you create a digital twin. You have process and asset applications where with data analytics, for example, with Palantir, OZPI is a process control system, data historian. We optimize our recipes. We optimize how we run the units. And then we have things which might sound a little strange to people who are not in the industry, like digital shift books or checklists, where we take away the piece of paper and the pen from the people and we give them tablets so that the data comes to them. And while they are adding data to it, we can connect the dots and use this data everywhere in the company. You see the roadmaps. It's a huge, huge plan to bring this technology all over the world to all of our plants. And we will continue scaling up. At the same time, we optimize what we have. I talked a lot about people. Here you see our connected worker program, where we always look at what does an employee in the production unit do for us or in the labs. How can we help them? What is a piece of technology which makes them more efficient? And in which way could we accelerate the speed of data processing? So let me give you one example. We went with data analytics into one of our production plants where we cool the unit with water we take out of the Rhine River in Germany. And in the summertime, the water is warmer than in wintertime. This is not new, but it was a restriction because when you don't have that cooling factor of warmer water, then the chemical reaction is different. And we had to bring down the production units in a way so that we don't produce as much, because otherwise we would have had too many emissions. So my data analytics team went in there, worked with the chemists and the engineers in the plant, and a couple months later, we found a new recipe. So we did not invest anything. We did not change anything in the unit, but just with data analytics, We changed recipes based on water temperature and increased the capacity by a couple of percentage points in a huge unit. These are 100,000 plus tons units per year. So you could use a couple of thousand tons more out of your same fixed assets with the same people you have there just by the power of data analytics. And the good thing is that the people doing that, working in the plant, they start to understand what kind of power in such a system could be. So they start to run their own projects, bringing energy consumption down, bringing waste down, optimizing their value chain. So that's what my team does. We are not the A team going everywhere and fixing problems. We're teaching people and making sure that they understand technology and then do it on their own. In the last 3 years, I recruited about 25 data scientists into Lanxess, because at a certain time we understood we have to get such profiles into our company, such people who can deal much better with data. So now we have a very strong data science team, which helps us a lot and which is combined with the domain knowledge, a very powerful unit. People, this is my topic. At the early beginning, we had a communication department, so we communicated what we were trying to do. But communication many times is just one-sided. So you just spread the news and you hope that somebody understands this. We changed this in the second year, and now we call it activation and enablement. So if we activate our people, we teach them digital technology, and then we enable them to use this technology so that they are inspired. One of the first slides was about inspiration. They're inspired by data, they're inspired by technology. They use their knowledge, which they had by training chemists, engineers, lab people, business people. And this allows us to use this technology much better rather than sending just a software package in a 20-page PDF file. This is how it works. We go there, we work with them, they accept the technology, and then they're very, very motivated to use that. We have various skill sets, what we are using, with various programs, what we're using. One thing is this community management. We also had decided to not create a huge team, digital team, but we kept many people in their units and allowed them to become what we call digital drivers. So we handpicked people who are working in the production area, in the marketing and sales department, in an office, in Germany, in Belgium, in the US and China. We told them, you are now our digital driver, you are our multipliers to the rest of the 15,000 people working for Lanxess. We taught them a little bit more. They got a couple of learning classes. So they were the people finding the pain points in our business, in our company, which we then tackled with this new technology. One of the most successful programs we have been using is ADA. ADA was founded by Miriam Meckel and Lea Steinacker out of the Handelsblatt Media Group. Now it's also a separated company, where each year we send 40 people to this ADA program. They become ADA fellows. These 40 people from Lanxess, they keep on working at Lanxess, but we give them time to spend at the ADA community. They learn and they run projects. We do this with other companies there, so they connect to other companies and exchange ideas. Now we're in the third year. The other 40 people times 2 out of the first 2 years are now our alumni. So we have 120 ADA fellows all over the world working for us within the Lanxess organization. Very, very important. Slides are hanging a little bit. What we also learned is there is no one-size-fits-all program. So you must make sure that you always look at is our workforce, is the people we are tackling, what kind of skill sets do they already have? Are they aware of what's out there? Or they're already very IT specialized people, because in their private life they do a lot of things. And when we iterate, we always look at who needs some more help, where do we have to activate more, where do we have to enable more. For sure, this is a leadership topic as well. So our board members, my CEO, a very, very progressive person, he stepped up on stage and said, I need to learn this. I need to learn about technology. I'm the CEO of the company, but to understand what kind of power it can give us at Lanxess, I need to understand this. So he learned. And while he was talking about this, he inspired also others in the leadership team, managers in all levels to do this. And that's what we continue to do to focus on this. You need to learn. Technology is so vast. Technology is so fast. You need to spend a certain percentage of your time just learning. And I believe at today's conference, a lot was talked about responsibility. For me, this is perhaps the most important slide. We now have tools in our hands where data science plays a key role in the real thing, the important challenges of our time. We need to look at the global warming issues. We need to reduce emissions. We need to reduce waste. We need to do everything which is called circular economy, that we use raw materials, we produce, we manufacture products, and at the end of the life cycle, we need to bring these products back and create, again, raw materials out of them. We need to must make sure that we have less energy applied, that we can produce products which are renewable, which don't have to be put into a waste unit and so on. We need to protect the environment. And this, I've been in the industry for many, many years. I'm totally excited about it because I believe this is the missing piece, that we can even be more green, we can be more sustainable in everything we do. And this is, in my opinion, the most important task. We take this responsibility and we take it seriously. And that's why we at Lanxess, we love digital technology, we love tech. And combined with what we have been doing over many, many decades, I believe we can fix these issues much better than we have been doing this in the past. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this interesting presentation. We have 2 minutes left, and Esnaf asked a really interesting question. He asked, what is it like to be constantly changing from a flexible and fast startup environment to a slower environment at Lanxess, in a corporate environment? And which one you like more?
I like both a lot, because it's kind of you are in two different worlds. At the same time, these worlds also start to merge. So whatever we learned at Chemondis, we are bringing into Lanxess. Not everything works in a large corporation like Lanxess with thousands of people, but we have learned a lot at Lanxess because of Chemondis. So one thing is we created a valuable company with Chemondis. On the other hand, we accelerated the change, the mindset change also at Lanxess. And this is by far a higher value for us. For me, it's cool. It's kind of, I don't change my clothes. I don't have a suit at a corporate function and then I jump into my jeans. This has also changed in corporates. It's just, I realized that there are many ways of being successful. You have to be curious all the time. You have to be courageous all the time. And if it works, it's great. And if it doesn't work, then you should fail fast. But I always say I never fail, because we either succeed or we learn. And that's very important.
Okay, yeah, really nice explained. So you profit from each other. Thanks again. Thank you very much for your thoughts. Yeah, and for your time. For the people watching, in 5 minutes at 4 p.m., we will have another keynote, or the last keynote for today, on the main stage. So see you in a moment. And all of you have a good rest of the day and a nice weekend. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.